kind of pod, it's kind of cast, it's Reap the Spoils. I'm Mark Sullivan.
I'm Delaila Lugo.
I'm Jason Kwasnicki.
Reap the Spoils is a monthly spoiler cast where we take a game and we just play the shit out of it, and then we come here and talk about everything. We spoil it. We spoil the story, we spoil the gameplay, we spoil everything. So if you haven't played the game that we're talking about, don't listen further. Don't listen to this episode. Yet. I want you to listen to this episode, but after you play the game. Go play the game, then come back. Listen to this episode. Delaila, what game are we talking about?
Bugsnax.
We're talking about Bugsnax. Yeah, this was a PS5 launch title that kinda, I don't know, it captured my heart. I was a big fan, and we decided, a couple months late, but we're going to sit here and talk to you about Bugsnax.
Yes, right. And if you think this isn't a spoiler cast worthy game, oh boy, you're wrong.
Yeah,
and
like
you'll see.
I didn't expect this to be. I didn't expect it to be like a game worthy of a spoiler cast. And then I played it and I was like, holy shit, guys!
Yeah.
Like, you haven't played it yet, but I think we should do an episode on Bugsnax.
Yep.
Jason's number one question is, I don't even know, like, what the fuck is it?
My main takeaway from this game is Filbo Baggins.
All right. So that being said, are we ready for a quick history lesson on Bugsnax?
Do it.
Jason, you prepared?
Yeah.
All right. So the developer Young Horses, the last game they made was Octodad Dadliest Catch. You might recognize that as a game that I brought up in a bonus episode. I don't even remember how long ago. It was like our favorite games of like each year. Bonus episode, I think from last winter. And Octodad was like one of my favorite games of 2014. 2014 was kind of a lesser year for game releases, and I got Octodad and loved it and played the hell out of it, shared it with a bunch of friends, and we all just had a really good time with that game. So needless to say, like, after that game, I was really looking forward to what the studio was going to do next.
Do you like this game more, Bugsnax, than Octodad?
It's a very different game, and I think overall this is a much more complete game.
Yeah.
Not to say Octodad isn't complete. It's just like Octodad was it was like more of a fun experiment, and was good for a couple hours. And Bugsnax was a much longer game with a weirdly more focused goal, I guess. Even though they even described it as just like a bunch of different mechanics just like that came together in this crazy mess. And that's pretty clear by its primary inspirations. The game's pretty heavily inspired by Kevin Zune has said in interviews, Pokemon Snap, Ape Escape, Dark Cloud, and Viva Pinata, all heavily inspired Bugsnax.
I'm surprised you didn't mention any classic adventure games like Monkey Island or the old Indiana Jones games.
Yeah.
Like the click and whatever it's called.
Point and click.
Point and click, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. This really all started. Kevin Zune, he's the creative director of the game. He just randomly, seemingly drew a caterpillar that was made out of waffles, that he called the Waffle Pillar. And that's kind of what sparked this idea. Was just like that random drawing.
That's what Miyazaki did. If you're all familiar with Studio Ghibli, he would just literally draw something, and then it's like, hey, let's create a story out of this, and then they literally just kept drawing and created the story as they want.
It's interesting.
The game was developed over 6 years. Pretty obvious that Octodad released in 2014. This came out in 2020. It was developed over 6 years. They kind of did that to avoid development burnout. I guess to also avoid crunch, I would assume, as those are big topics of conversation within the games industry. And I don't blame them. I think it was a good move. We've also heard stories about recent games like Hades taking measures to avoid things like crunch. So kudos to Young Horses for doing something like that for the staff and the devs involved. I also found it really interesting in a Kotaku interview with Kevin Zune. The story was originally supposed to be a lot darker, or the ending was supposed to be a lot darker.
Darker than what it was?
Yeah,
What it is?
which we'll get to when we talk about the ending after the history lesson. But yeah,
it's interesting. It's interesting that you bring that up.
Yeah,
because I had been expecting the entire game for it to get darker than it actually became.
Yeah,
like way darker.
Okay. But yeah, the game was first revealed to the world in the PlayStation 5 like Future of Gaming showcase on June 11th this past summer, and it was released on PS4, PS5, and PC via the Epic Game Store on November 12th, 2020.
Yep.
So
for free on PS5.
Yeah. It was a good way for this game to get in a lot of people's hands for PS5 owners only. It was the first PlayStation 5 PS Plus game. I was very happy to hear that.
You guys both played it on PS5, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I played it on PS4. If you have to choose, do not play this game on PS4. Play it on PS5.
Is it because of the load times?
Yes, it's the load times. It takes longer to load between zones than it does to walk between them.
It's true. I played it 2 months ago on PS5, and since we were gonna do a spoiler cast on it, I went and replayed it, and I decided, what the hell, I'll get the PS4 version and get the other plat. And it's something that I totally took for granted and wasn't expecting.
I felt like I was almost spending as much time in the load screens as playing the game at points. It didn't actually become prominent until later in the game when I realized I forgot some things and was running around a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But
all right, what do you say we just jump right into the ending?
Yes.
Let's do it.
And this is your final warning. If you haven't played this game, pause the episode, go play the game, then come back. This is one I think is totally worthy of you seeing it through and playing it and coming back. Like, we don't want to ruin this for you because it's wild. So, that being said, let's fucking talk about it. Whoo! Bugsnax are parasites. You get down in that hole, and what was it called? It was like called the Undersnacks.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, you go down, and it's just the walls and tunnels are made of Bugsnax, and you finally find Lizbert, and she's this giant Bugsnax monster that tells you, and she's like snide and angry at you that you came all this way, and you're like, you really want to fucking interview me right now?
I was laughing because she kind of looked like a Bugsnax version of the Scorpion King from the end of The Mummy 2. I was imagining fucking The Rock, but he's a CG scorpion.
And that design was like really, really cool because it incorporated I think all of the legendary Bugsnax that you fight. I already can't remember. The Daddy Cake Legs, the Mothza Supreme, the fucking Mega Maki. I'm blanking. The Mama Melwin. It used like pieces of every single one of those legendary Bugsnax in her monstrous Queen of Bugsnax design, which I thought was a really cool touch. It's something I didn't notice on my first playthrough.
Yeah, kudos to the art of this game. This game has a brilliant aesthetic to it.
Yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, she wants she's yelling at you like, you want to fucking interview me right now? And so you interview her and you find out, Bugsnax are parasites. Their goal is to make you want to eat them, and then you eat them, and and in doing so, they transform you into more Bugsnax.
And the cycle never ends.
Yeah.
So you become one big giant Bugsnax, and there's no point of return.
And the island.
Honestly, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Delaila.
I was gonna say, honestly, I made a joke about this game being a horror game, just seeing the visuals.
Not even a joke. You made a review. I
did review it, yes. But I thought it was kind of a joke because I was just scared of how the Grumpuses transformed into the snacks. It was very creepy looking, like it's definitely cringeworthy stuff. But then when I actually saw how the story played out, I was like, this is the same plot in like Resident Evil games.
You know, so after you have this plot reveal and you get shot back out of the mountain to save everybody in the village, there was that moment where you wake up literally exactly where you were at the beginning, and then you find Filbo exactly where you found him at the beginning. And I was caught off guard that they didn't like use that as you both lose your memory and it's just an endless cycle.
Ooh.
Like
Damn.
I thought that was exactly what was going to happen. There was a lot I thought was going to be happen because like I called straight from the beginning that Elizabeth was the monster, because throughout the game there's an implication that there's a monster coming out at night, some kind of Bugsnax that's raiding the village. And from the beginning I was like, that's Elizabeth. And I was kind of predicting that it was. I mean, Delaila kind of tipped us off because she had told us before I even played that it was darker than you think. So maybe that influenced my bias there. Yeah. But I thought the game was going to even go darker than it went. Like characters dying. Like obviously Lisbeth and Eggabell get stuck on the island, but like I thought it was going to end in like some real not child-friendly ways. Like I thought that the aesthetic was supposed to be a ruse for what was going to happen, and I was kind of surprised it had a sort of a happy ending.
Well, maybe happy because at the very, very end you see. Well, one, you find out that what's her name?
Clumby.
What's her name? Clumby. They all have similar names, so it's hard to remember.
Yeah, I know. I had to look up like a character list to remember, because I always mixed up Snorpy and Floofty for whatever reason. I mean, it kind of helps that they're siblings, so like maybe that's why. But I kept mixing up their names and forgetting one or the other.
Wait, which one is Clumby?
Clumby's the yellow lady that's the boss of the main character.
Oh. Wait, how do you find out she's working for the Grumpinati?
So at the very did you see after credits?
It's always after the credits. Every game.
I love this. It's always so on brand.
I feel like we need to start telling Jason, like, hey, Jason, we're going to play this game next. Now, you have to stay until after the credits on this one.
I had fucking dinner, okay?
So what happens is, at the end, Clumby's on a phone call with this, like, dark, mysterious force that is apparently part of the Illuminati called the Snackanati, or I don't know.
The
Scrumpinati.
I'm glad they took that storyline somewhere, because that was my favorite character, that the inventor
Snorpy?
dude. Yeah, that wants to get with the bro.
He is with Chandlo.
What is his name?
Chandlo.
No, I know. I like that reveal that Chandlo was always under the assumption that they were together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like a really nice reveal.
Yeah.
I thought that was cute and done well. But yeah, so she gets this. She's on the phone with this Illuminati figure, and as she gets off the phone with him, a little strawberry Strabby, that's what they're called, comes off of the boat that they landed on, indicating that the Bugsnax are now like coming on this new island.
And also as they're so that conversation was Clumby's telling the Grumpinati representative, the Grumpinati person, let's call him, that they seem to be hiding something. They're going to keep an eye on them, and they say in Latin that I think the translations that I saw were you are what you eat, and all life is Bugsnax.
Yeah.
And then right after that, the lone stowaway Strabby that was on their ship after they left Snacktooth Island comes out on the beach.
God, I'm already thinking of some potential sequel ideas going off that. That's a really good way to leave it open.
And we'll go ahead and talk about that closer to the end. But yeah, like this ending was just crazy. Another thing to note was, Lisbeth is trying to hold back the island from going after them. She's trying to hold back the Bugsnax from attacking them, and Eggabell comes in and refuses to leave, joins in with her, and they become kind of one. And another thing to note is during that final showdown, your villagers actually can die.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like it's really easy for them to not die, so I wasn't sure if it was possible for them to die, but I never actually tested it. But yeah, it turns out it is possible for some of them to not survive that showdown and not escape. And during the credits, you see like photos of them after the game, and I think it's only if everybody survives you see that Lisbert and Eggabell seemingly survived and undid their snackification. You see a portrait of them watching the sunset on the beach. So seemingly they make it out okay after all, which makes the ending a little less dark, which is nice. But you see other things like Snorpy is trying to like work out, and Chandler's reading a book in a library. Obviously taking on the others' hobbies a little bit. You see Floofty's teaching at a school. There's lots of cool things in those portraits in the credits.
I don't know if I like Lisbert and Eggabell like surviving.
Well, I think
it takes away from the poignancy of at least what they were trying to go for with the symbolism.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Well, I feel like it's also I don't know if those are meant to be taken literally. I don't, especially that one. That's the note that we're left on. So who knows? Maybe we'll find out in the next game, if and when there's a next game.
Yeah. Maybe yeah. Probably the intent is what you're saying, that it was just supposed to be a nice like reminder. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah. Oh, and another part of that ending, when you do escape on the boat and you get back to I don't know what the main Grumpus land is called. I feel like they mentioned it.
I don't know. Did they talk about it? I don't remember.
I feel like they mentioned it.
They did.
And I just forgot. Yeah.
It was something really like comic booky or like it was.
Yeah, it's probably like Grumpopolis.
It was Grumpopolis, I think, or something like that.
But
yeah.
Point is, like, you get on the beach and you can talk to everybody, find out what they're gonna do next and everything. But you wind up getting fired from your job.
I love that.
Yeah, you get back and Clumby's like, "Oh, this is a fascinating story. Too bad I fired you right after you walked out the door." And you find out that, like, Filbo's been staying with you. And...
By the way, you're legally dead.
Yeah. And Filbo's been staying with you. Filbo decides he's going to run for mayor. Kind of finding, I guess, a purpose outside of Snacktooth Island, which is a nice moment to end on for that character.
So I have a question, because when you're starting the game, Clumby sends you on a mission to find out if there's actually Bugsnax on Snacktooth Island. That's the purpose.
More so, like, you want to take on that mission, and Clumby's kind of like...
You're on edge with her because you got, like, some of your stories before the events of the game were outed as fake and or, like, full of holes. Yeah. So you're already on, like, the outs with her. And you see this as like your chance to, I'm
just wondering if she sent him on that mission, like agreed to have him go on that mission because she wanted the snacks to like spread across the world.
That's very possible. I think that
basically, from what you guys are saying, happened at the end after the credits. That seems what the intent is.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the case, Delaila.
And then like fired him because she realized he knew too much and he had too many allies to like that knew about the truth and were kind of going against it, which is really cool. Like I was surprised at how dark and how interesting the plot was, because when you're playing the game, I mean, this one girl on Facebook, she was like, "Oh my God, Bugsnax is like so cute," and I was like, "Girl, that game is scary." You would never think.
Just you wait.
Yeah.
The Kevin Zune had said in that interview, it is a good interview. It was very informative. It's on Kotaku. Go look it up. But he'd said that the original ending was planned to make the Grumpuses kind of go crazed and like wind up consuming each other.
That's what I thought. So yeah, especially at one point in the game, they allude to the one doctor, the lady one, taking like
Triffany.
dragging people, yeah, like dragging a leg across the beach, and like I think they postulated that, or one of the Grumpuses postulated that she had eaten Filbert or Elizabeth or something like that.
Oh, that might have been Floofty.
Yeah. So I thought there was going to be something really dark like that. That's one of the things that suggested to me that there was going to be a sharp turn, or at least sharper than it took. It did take a dark turn, but not as dark as I thought it would go.
Yeah. But yeah, like what a way to end the game. This very innocent, cutesy looking game was not so innocent or cutesy.
Yeah, totally. Did this happen to any of you guys where you're like, well, this happened to me in the first area where, oh my God, these freaking names, the purple chick.
Beffica?
Beffica, yeah, right, where she had her encampment, because all the Grumpuses are spread apart. So where she resided in, which was like right outside of
the cave.
The cave. Yeah, the cave.
Yeah.
That area, I saw a Grumpus that looked like the makeshift one that Lisbert made.
Oh,
yeah.
That's the snack squatch.
The snack squash, yeah. Snack squash. I think I saw the snack squash in the distance, just looking at me.
That is one of the places you can find him, yeah.
So that's the thing. I wasn't bugging out because I was freaking out. I was like, did I make that up in my head, or is like
I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
It was just
it's just like a hidden thing.
No, the snack squash that when you find Lisbert for the first time, she like shows you.
Oh, the one that's in the tunnels with you. I got you.
It's like the one that's kind of it's like a smaller it's like a smaller amalgamation of Bugsnax. It's, and if you scan it, you find out it's called the snack squatch. There are places out in the wild where you can find it just like watching you from a distance.
Yeah. Okay. I'm so glad I wasn't bugging out.
There's that was actually I missed. There's a trophy for scanning the snack squatch, and I had missed it when you were down in those tunnels. So after I loaded in post game,
I was wondering why I got a silver trophy. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the place where I did find it. Delaila was what is that location? Garden Grove.
Yeah.
Like looking past the cave, you see him in the distance, like watching you. That's where I wound up scanning him.
So scary.
Yeah.
Because like I didn't even expect. I'm over here trying to like scan different Bugsnax and take pictures of them and capture them for my journal and stuff, for the completionist run. And all of a sudden I see this thing in the distance. I was like, what the hell? And then I go towards it and it's gone.
Yeah.
I was like, this is fucking scary. It was good though. It was so good. I thought that was amazing.
So building off that, let's talk about the namesake of the game. Let's talk about Bugsnax.
I can't tell if somebody was high when they thought of this concept. Like they were like,
no, it was just Kevin Zune just drew the waffle pillar, and it birthed this whole new. And it was interesting. The creative process that went behind this was like they listed off. They created a list of like common like foods, and then they listed off a bunch of like common creatures and animals and stuff, and they just started seeing like what designs of like the foods and the critters matched up, and they tried to come up with like punny names and ones that where the designs matched up really well. And then just like if they couldn't think of like a name, they just thought of something like really nonsensical. That's how you got like Scoopy Banoopy, a banana split monster.
I love how they all, and you got cans of soda just like swimming in the water,
and they're all. And
I love how they all just say their names like Pokemon. Like,
yeah.
That's probably one of the fun. Yeah, it was kind of annoying at first how all the, I guess I'll call them the booper Bugsnax, the ones that would ram you if they saw you.
Oh, like the bunger.
Like the bunger and the popsicle ones and all that. But I love there's one particular zone, the Volcano Beach one, where if it will continue to run into you even over the lava, and then once it hits the lava, like the tone of its voice changes, and it's like, oh popsicle, and it runs around on fire. Like it's just hilarious.
Valeritos.
What was your guys' favorite Bugsnax?
I mean, I really liked. It's hard not to pick a legendary one.
Yeah.
The dragon sushi. Oh my god,
Mega
what was
Maki?
it called? The Mega Maki. Yeah. And then when you're fighting, it's like mega.
I like the donut that's just stuck to the
to
the wall.
The sprinklepede?
The sprinklepede that's just stuck to the wall in the giant wooden tower. I also like there's just random bags of chips.
Yeah.
Stuck to walls.
The
I just like them the best because they were just I laughed. Because it's like fuck it, we're not even gonna design this. Just stick a bag of chips on the wall.
And it's like really cool. Like some of them I didn't really realize. Like I didn't realize what the Grumpy snack pod was supposed to be until I fed it to Beffica and changed her body into it, and it's a little pack of gummy bears.
Oh yeah.
Ah.
Like
yeah, and
some
That's
of these.
interesting. I never fed and almost anything I caught unless it was required. I donated all of it.
Oh, really?
So I had like a massive backpack at the end.
Yeah.
Can I just say something funny about that? So this is mostly if you're going for the platinum, but that Grumpus that you're donating to, what's his name? Again, I can't remember these people's names.
I know.
The one that never
Gramble.
sleeps.
It's Gramble.
Scramble. He doesn't want anyone to eat the Bugsnax, but he's kind of in a romantic relationship with someone who's like fiending for Bugsnax. The Squiggles lady.
Wiggle.
Wiggles.
She sneaks into his barn and fucking eats them in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
She does. And he's just trying to make them pets. But anyway, if you're going for the platinum, you're required to make every Grumpus have a full body full of snacks. So you have to, like, they make them into an entire snack. And you have to do it to even the one that doesn't want to eat the Bugsnax. And how you do it is that you sneak into his barn at 12 a.m. and you feed him Bugsnax while he's sleepwalking. And I felt so evil doing that.
And I wasn't sure that was going to come up at any point, but sure enough, the next morning when he was awake, he's like, can I talk to you? I have a bad habit of sleepwalking, and apparently I've been eating too. Can you just like wake me up next time? I was like, wow, this is really surprising. They're actually addressing this in a really funny and cool way.
Yeah.
And I on top of that, I also like the character Shelda, who is much more spiritual and thinks that she, like, reaching kind of enlightenment is by getting or attaining the power to resist Bugsnax. Yeah. And really, she's just conning you into giving her Bugsnax. But up until she admits that she's conning you, you can't directly feed her. The only way to get her to transform is to put them into her box. And the next time you see her the next day, she'll, her body will be transformed because she's secretly eating the snacks that you're giving to her. It's kind of like a reverse Gramble.
Yeah, so technically Scramble was more enlightened than she was, like, actually.
Yeah. So I really like that aspect. Jason, you said you like the Sprinklepede and the snack pods?
Yeah. Just because it was like, there wasn't even really designed for it. It was just like, there's a piece of food stuck on the wall. Go get it.
Katie and I, my significant other and I, after I played the game, we found ourselves just randomly saying "bunger bunger bunger bung" for days on end.
Yeah.
So I think Bunger's probably my favorite.
That's the one I was talking about, where like if it gets lit on fire, or like it will just like the tone of the voice, the way it radically changes.
Yeah.
The other piece of this game that makes me feel like it's a horror game isn't just like the plot and the way the Bugsnax transform, but also the sounds at the same time. Especially in the beginning of the game when you're in smaller areas, like you hear all the sounds at once, that I had them in my head for like a week nonstop, like the bungers and the sweetie pie. Yeah. It was very disturbing.
Yeah.
I hated it.
It's almost like I felt like the acoustics, not acoustics, that's the wrong word. The audio environment, it was kind of similar in a way to, especially with the accompanying soundtrack, it was kind of similar to Minecraft in a way, where like it's soothing, but at the same time, like there are eerie noises that are coming from like within the caves and just random things wandering around.
And
Yeah.
the soundtrack for this game is like, it's really good mood music. To the point where like there's the one track that plays during the one campfire that Filbo decides to throw, and they start finding like weird things happen around the village, and you go to investigate clues and stuff, and you find that sign that says no more Bugsnax, and it's like really eerie and frightening, and the music does a really good job at conveying that, despite other tracks and other areas being like much more whimsical and adventurous. The soundtrack was definitely excellent.
I actually didn't like the soundtrack too much in the beginning of the game, but I felt like the later areas had better songs.
Especially, you know, that end credit song with Kero Kero Bonito chiming in.
Yeah.
That damn
it's
jam.
So catchy.
Yeah, it's really good. I have that shit on vinyl. It's great.
Oh my god.
Christ, what don't you have on vinyl?
Go to im8bit.com, get yourself a Bugsnax vinyl if it's still available. I don't actually know. So I guess before we move on from Bugsnax, besides like our favorites, how did we feel they tied into gameplay? How was the aspect of catching them and kind of studying them? Did we feel like this was well done with the tools that were provided?
Yes, I thought it was more intricate and thought out than I would have suspected when I first played the game. Especially the ones like Jason mentioned in that volcano area where you have to get like a Sodi to come on the by the volcano and put out the fire Bugsnax so that you can capture them, or else your trap will actually go on fire.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was a really cool way to like not just use your tools against Bugsnax to capture them, but also use the Bugsnax against the Bugsnax to capture them.
Yes.
I really liked it.
You have to really, especially like you said, during the late game in the volcano and especially on the mountain where basically every enemy is going to freeze you.
Yeah.
So you gotta use fire against them. What little fire there is. But not only do you have to start using multiple tools, but you have to like plan everything out in advance and lead them. And while I like that aspect, and I like the way that there's never really, well, sometimes there is, but most of the time there's never really one way to catch a Bugsnax. One thing that bothered me was how finicky a lot of the tools, particularly like the slings and the shots, can get, and the buggy ball can get a little frustrating. Although it is kind of impressive, if you just want to move it around generally, you can just point to one place and it will self-navigate.
Yeah. Yeah.
But overall, it was enjoyable enough.
I agree. It was finicky, and I think because I went for the platinum and I caught 100, because there's 100 you can catch, I felt like at a certain point, I was just like, okay, some of these are just like reskins. Like, I was okay with the ones that are like fire versions of this Bugsnax or ice versions of this Bugsnax, but the ones that were just like a different color, I felt like they could have took out of the game just to make it less repetitive. And yeah, some of them were finicky, especially the ones where you had to launch like a trap in the air to catch it. Sometimes it was hard to aim it correctly.
So, or the ones where like you had to put sauce on the ball and like lead it out of the cave. Like I didn't put that together at first, so I was just shooting the sauce at the ground. But then other Bugsnax would come and hit it, and I would get frustrated because then it would start walking back even though there was sauce right there. So I just kept running out of sauce, shooting it at the ground. Like it was just a little frustrating.
Yeah, I agree that it was definitely a much deeper system than I thought. I got really worried when I saw my first bit of footage for the game, because leading up to the game's release, like, we didn't really know anything about what this game was and how it played. Like the initial trailer that we got was just like Elizabeth saying, "I'll come to Snacktooth Island and check out the Bugsnax." And it's just like, it was a very like cinematic, cutesy trailer with the Kero Kero Bonito song, and like no one really knew what it was. We were just like people were just enamored by its charm. We still didn't really know what it was. And then the question about a month later came out of like, what is this game? Like, what do you do? And they started to paint the picture, but even then people were like, what?
Yeah.
So when I saw my first bit of footage, like I just saw the snack trap and someone putting it in the path of a Bugsnax and capturing it, and I just thought that's how you were gonna catch all Bugsnax. I was like, oh, that doesn't sound that interesting. And holy crap, like you mentioned the ones with like launching the trap up to catch the flying ones. It is tricky. I found that the thing to do is to just get your pointer on it and lock it on, and then no matter what, it'll just automatically go to it when you launch it. And like it took me forever to figure out how to do that. But holy crap, that's so cool, and it's so creative.
When you're trying to lock on it, like it will lock on, but then like unlock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to keep it on.
Yeah. But yeah, like not just using one tool, but using several to catch certain ones just became so cool and creative, and a neat way to use all the tools in your arsenal as opposed to just one or two.
It kind of gets to like Metroidvania, Zelda like.
Yeah, because there
totally.
are in earlier areas there are Bugsnax that you can't the Scorpions in the Scorched Gorge, you can't catch them until you have cheese.
Yeah.
At least there's no way I could find to catch them early. You had to wait until you had cheese so that you could lure them into the creek nearby, and they would then extinguish themselves and you could catch them. But you don't get cheese until really late into the game.
Yeah, until one of the last levels. That's where I messed up, because every single time I was in an area, I was trying to get every single Bugsnax, and I wound up wasting a lot of time.
Yeah.
Which makes me realize how much I like Pop Ticks, because they were just like little like popcorn seeds that were super tiny in the ground, and you had to have the scorpion Bugsnax burn it for it to turn into popcorn before you could capture it. I thought that was really cute.
Yeah, it really surprised me how much depth they put into the catching mechanics, not only using the tools you have, but the environment around you, the Bugsnax around you. It was really, really well done, and the repeated Bugsnax didn't bother me. What bothered me more were like the ones that were only available when it was raining, and trying to force a biome to start raining was really at times really frustrating, because you're given like a little weather meter, but you can just keep sleeping, and sometimes it just doesn't rain for days on end. And it's like, I just need to catch this one Bugsnax to complete my journal. Like, will you please spawn? But a lot of the designs, even though some were repeated, were like still really cool and clever.
Yeah.
And yeah, I look forward to seeing what new ones they can come up with, because there were, even with 100 and some of them repeating, there were still a lot, and I'm not sure. I can't even imagine what else they could come up with.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the gameplay, though, just to be clear, like it's only a puzzle game, and only really feels like combat when you're fighting the legendary Bugsnax, which I thought were super brilliant. Like boss encounters.
Yeah.
In fact, it was my favorite part of the game besides the plot.
You guys keep talking about the legendary ones. I actually did not. At least I don't think I saw a single legendary one or captured one.
You didn't do the daddy cake legs?
That doesn't ring. I did some side quests. I did not capture every single one. Like I mainly focused on the main story, and I was doing side quests until like I was pressed for time and I really needed to finish it.
Yeah. You got to do those. Yeah, I guess if you didn't do a lot of side quests, like you got to do the legendary ones on certain characters as like quest lines at the end of them. So like Cromdo, you got to do Motha Supreme. Chandlo, you got to go and take out the Mama Melwin. Daddy Cake Legs was Snorpy. And who am I thinking? Who's the other one that I'm missing, Delaila? Oh,
yeah,
Wiggles.
Wiggles? Mega Maki was Wiggles.
Yeah, see, a lot of the side quests I did were for I did a lot of the Bethica snooping ones because I thought they were pretty cool, like Wambus and Trifini and like the earlier ones. By the time you got to the later characters, I was kind of trying to get through the story.
Yeah.
Did you want to?
I remember what I was gonna say. I was just gonna say this isn't like the gameplay isn't. Oh my god, this is like must play gameplay. But if you like puzzle games and you like games like Pokemon Snap a little bit, I think you'll definitely like this game, but I can see this like not vibing for everyone for sure. But the legendary Bugsnax, and I'm sad, Jason, that you didn't get to experience at least one of them, were like the best part of the game in terms of gameplay.
They were really cool. Something I do want to mention, I think we were talking about it earlier. This came out on PS4 and PS5, and with the PS5, like load times are like immensely fast. So there's not really a loading. There is a loading time when you go area to area, but it's really not that bad. On PS4 though, I played both versions, and yeah, the PS4 does have some pretty long load times. But what I think is really cool about it is the loading screen. There's like a mosaic of Bugsnax on that loading screen, and the Bugsnax that show up there are the ones that you've caught. So the more Bugsnax that you catch, the more different ones will show up in that mosaic, which I thought was really cool. At the beginning, it's just like the Bunger, the Frieder, the Shishka Bug, and like just those ones that you could catch in Garden Grove in that first area. And then as you catch more, just more start showing up there. I thought it was a really neat touch to kind of add to... You're going to be looking at loading screens. We might as well give you some sort of like immediate progression there. I thought was pretty neat.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I don't even get what because these zones are not that big, and I mean I'm not a technical expert, but aside from the Grumpuses themselves, there's really not. It doesn't at least look like there's much going on, even in terms of like things like lighting. I don't understand.
It might just be the engine that they used. I'm not sure.
Yeah. That's one of the things that bugged me the most about this game. Like Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time. Yeah, it bugged me.
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time had better loading times and bigger zones.
Oh.
Yeah, my game also crashed. Well, glitched to the point where I had to reboot twice, which for a game that has not much going on for it was kind of a shame.
Well, I kind of wonder how much of that was the game and maybe just early PS5 issues.
It could be, yeah.
I don't know. Who's to say? Before we totally move on to other aspects of the game, like I want to talk a little more about the characters. I do want to talk about besides catching Bugsnax, another pretty big gameplay mechanic was kind of playing into the fact that your player character is a journalist. And like the main goal of you going there wasn't to catch Bugsnax, but it was to interview Lizbert. And you get there and Lizbert's gone. So the goal is to find out what happened to her, and overall your method of getting to that point is to reunite all the Grumpuses back to Snacksburg. And after you do that, you wind up interviewing them. How did you guys feel about the fact that you're kind of an investigative journalist? Do you think that the mechanics at play there like worked well?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it made sense because you have the journal not only to learn about the characters, the different Grumpuses, but also to see how to catch the different Bugsnax, to learn about the locations that you're exploring. So it felt like it all made sense. It didn't just feel like, oh, okay, like we just need to throw a journalist in here. I thought that they tied it up all pretty nicely. But I wonder about this journalist, our character. Like, is it a guy or a girl? Is it a Grumpus? It was just silent.
It's definitely a Grumpus because you see
you see the hands,
you see your arms, and you also like the lighting and like the shadowing. You can very clearly see that you are a Grumpus. Like,
okay, yeah, that's right. I remember looking down and seeing little furry stuff. But, the fact that you can't eat Bugsnax without getting sick. And I just have so many questions about the main character.
I think that was more meant as a hint at there's something wrong with this. I don't think they were really thinking like that.
Well, I wonder if it was just like if they just wanted to pull you in as a silent protagonist to give a blank slate for the player to project themselves onto, and in giving the excuse that like you got sick eating a bug snack, like it gives them a reason to not build in mechanics for you to eat Bugsnax and transform yourself.
Yeah, and it hints, and it tips you off that not all is happy in this Bugsnax world.
It does give some kind of idea. But the interviewing, that and the interviewing and kind of the investigation that you lead in this game was probably my favorite aspect of the game.
Me too.
And I really want to see if I want to either see a sequel to this game that builds on that more, or I want to see another game take that idea and build further on it, because I really liked it. I really liked that you were solving a mystery, you were investigating, you were interviewing people, and like you didn't have to ask the questions that you did, but like you could ask every question. I liked when you replayed, when you go back up the list in an interview and you press like a question you've already asked, they don't repeat the answer. It's on your tape recorder and it comes through the tape recorder as repeated dialogue, but recorded. I thought that was so clever. It was a good touch and really hammered that point further, that you are a journalist here trying to find out what's going on.
That's cool. I didn't even realize that.
I didn't until my second playthrough. And like I happened to not be paying attention during one of the responses, so I went and clicked on it again, and it played through the tape recorder. I'm like, oh, holy shit, that's so cool! It's such a small thing, but it's really neat. Go ahead, Jason.
No, all I was gonna say, my only wish, and this we'll talk about it later. Maybe they'll expand in the future. My only wish was that there was more options to how you approached it, rather than just a list of questions, like sort of like an LA Noire system.
Yeah.
Where like you can piss off people and they won't talk to you, and maybe you have to regain their trust to, things like that. But I mean, it's a small project, and at the end of the day, for this particular game, the reality is that even though we both like the investigative stuff better, the reality is that the investigative and stuff in the interviews are really a reward for the puzzles that you solve, catching Bugsnax.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it was kind of meant as a secondary thing, even though you and I liked it better. I don't know, Delaila, how did you feel? Which one did you like better, Bugsnax or Journalist?
Probably the Journalist, because the Bugsnax kind of freaked me out and got really annoying at a certain point. And yeah, like I said, the plot and the legendary Bugsnax were my favorite parts of the game. And what comes with the plot is learning about these characters, because that it definitely hints at what's going on in different kind of ways, because every Grumpus has their sort of specialty and their own abilities and their own relationships that like gives hints into what's happening for the bigger picture. So I think that's what kept me engaged in the game, because the Bugsnax alone like got annoying after a while. At least some of them did. Some of them were more fun. Some of them were just finicky.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on and talk about some of the characters. And what I really want to talk about most of all is just the sense of relationship between all these villagers. Now, I don't just mean romantic relationships, because you have obvious romantic entanglements like Wambus and Triffany, Chandlo and Snorpy, and like Gramble and Wiggle. Good Lord, some of these
Lisbeth
names,
and Egg.
Yeah, like you have like some of those romantic relationships, but you also have, Snorpy and Floofty being siblings. You have Cromdo and Beffica being rivals. There's so many. Oh, like Chandlo and Shelda being like Shelda kind of being a spiritual advisor to Chandlo, at a lot of times. This game, I think, really had a heavy emphasis on those relationships, and I think it handled them all really, really well, and showed you like natural progressions as you got more of them to come back and completed more side quests and progressed the game further, but also these people's relationships with one another. How did you guys feel about that? And this also ties into the writing. What did you guys think of the writing as a whole?
It was great. I mean, you definitely felt like these Grumpuses spent time with each other in that little central hub area. And I like how the relationships weren't just like, oh, these two over here and these two over there. It was like they all impacted each other in different ways, and you learned about that through interviews and also through doing missions for them. Seeing how, like, you know, people were suspicious of, was it Floofy, the one that like tried to do experiments on other Grumpuses to figure out ways to like duplicate Bugsnax or something like that, or like to fix body parts and things like that.
Floofty came to the island and you also, like, through those interviews, you find out their motivations for coming. And Floofty's was pretty much for science. They wanted to they wanted to study. They noticed that Lisbert's body was modified, and their interest was piqued, and they came to the island to study and learn more and try to advance science above all else. But yeah, sorry.
No, yeah, I thought it was just really good.
Yeah.
Surprisingly good. Better storytelling than some narrative games I played recently.
Yeah. Jason, how did you feel about the writing?
I thought it was kind of, with the characters, it was kind of hit or miss.
Okay.
So all of these characters essentially, for the most part, I should say, fit pretty bare-bone archetypes, and they do that for a reason, because it's an ensemble cast. They don't have the time to dedicate to everybody, and this is the same thing you see in heist movies like that feature ensemble cast, like Ocean's 11, Italian Job, Inception. Every character is a different archetype. Different archetypes have natural allies with other archetypes. They rub wrong against other archetypes. It's the reason why we see the natural rivalries and the natural relationships that develop. You have, the reluctant, is it Snorpy? I keep forgetting mixing up
the names are hard.
Snorpy is the male scientist, right?
Yes, Snorpy, yes.
Yeah. So Snorpy is essentially the girl next door archetype, and Chandlo is the Chad archetype. And one of the reasons that relationship works really well is because they subvert the archetypes, where Chandlo is kind of under the impression the entire time that they've been in a relationship, where the girl next door, even though he's a boy, obviously, kind of realizes, we've always been in a relationship. Beffica works really well as the trickster, but then you have, or the town gossip, but then you have like the merchant who's a cheapskate who, maybe it's because I didn't do his side quest, but there was nothing really to him other than that, at least that I found.
No, that pretty much sums up his character. He's just trying to make a cheap buck.
You have Filbo, who's supposed to go on a strengthening arc, but he never actually really does anything other than come to the mountain with you. And then probably the worst character in this entire game is Eggabell. Oh my god. So Eggabell feels weak and wants to be strong, and that's supposed to be her character arc, but they never actually establish why the fuck she's weak. Because she keeps saying that she's weak, she's useless. She's the fucking doctor. She has like the most important job on the island. She takes care of people that get sick. She's like one of the most competent characters there.
Yeah.
And her complaining, and I actually watched all the videotapes. This is one of the games where I actually watched and read all the documents.
Wow.
Nice.
Because there weren't that many of them.
Yeah, there weren't that many. And you get most of them on the main path anyway.
And Eggabell just fucking pissed me off. I just didn't want to take any more of it. I was like, you fucking stay in that mountain and you rot in your igloo.
I think with Eggabell, like, it was like that, like you said, they're archetypes. So she had like that healer complex, like, oh, I'm in love with this girl Lisbert, who is like so strong, and she's out there, and she's like that Australian like Discovery Zone person that passed away. I can't remember his name. Like she puts herself out there. She's strong. She's like a leader. And Eggabell's just like in love with her hopelessly, and like tries to go on these adventures with her, but feels like incompetent in doing that. So I think it was more just like feeling incompetent in comparison to Lisbeth than actually being incompetent in all avenues.
No, I get what they were trying to go for. It just, at least to me, it came off as a little melodramatic. and not nearly as well executed as the other romantic relationships.
Oh yeah, she's super melodramatic. I mean, till the end when she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm not gonna survive. I'm gonna die with you and become this ultimate bug snack." With,
Yeah.
super dramatic.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Like, I feel like if we needed to have more time with Eggabell herself, as opposed to seeing these videos of her feeling weak. Like the time that we got with the time that we spent with Eggabell was like her being brooding and focused on finding Liz. You find out that like at the end that the eye patch was just nothing.
To make it, she has like some sort of eye disease, but it's not that bad.
Yeah.
She can still see.
And she's just like, looks pretty badass though. It's like, okay, well, thanks. But yeah, her character does have a pretty weak progression. I will agree with that. And I also think, to go back to Filbo, I think Filbo is the biggest waste of opportunity. I feel like
Yes.
Filbo should have been more emphasis on Filbo than there was. Filbo was just kind of like, he was the glue that was trying to keep the village together, and he every time you got more and more villagers back, he wanted to celebrate the fact that they were back, but that wasn't really any sort of progression for his character.
There needed to be a conflict scene where Filbo asserts himself between two of the other characters that are in conflict.
I'll
Something
agree with
like that.
Yeah. No, for sure.
I think.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say I think Filbo is kind of like Eggabell in that sense, where he only aspired to be like Lisbert, and didn't really have much going for him otherwise.
Yeah. Other than that, like, the Wiggle and Gramble dichotomy of their relationship was cute. I couldn't fucking stand Wiggle.
Neither did I.
She drove me fucking crazy.
This ties into a real quick point. I said the characters was kind of hit and miss. The same thing goes for the humor in this game.
Yeah.
Like, there are some things that I've mentioned that I found really funny, and then there was a lot of shit that was just so on the nose, and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
although, like, to talk about the writing, so when you scan a Bugsnax, sometimes their little piece of flavor text comes with an accompanying quote by another villager.
mm-hmm.
And there was a couple from Wiggle that I found probably the funniest ones in the game. There was like one, I think it was for the Grapesquito, one of the Grapesquitos, where it eats another bug snack and like puffs up really big or whatever, and the accompanying quote was Wiggle saying "Same, darling, same," which I thought was really fucking funny. And those I really enjoyed. Anytime there was one of those accompanying quotes, I always loved reading those. And in a lot of cases they were better. Those were better written than dialogue, directly from the characters. But yeah, I like, as far as that relationship goes, like the concept of it was cool. I just could not stand Wiggle one bit.
And
Can we talk about? No, go ahead.
Oh, all I was gonna say was, like, there's just really great stuff. Like, one of my favorite parts was what's his name? Wambus and his cactus.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, that's like one of the funniest things in the game. But then, you just have like the songs that Wiggle sing. The same reason I hated her. It's like, oh, you're making puns out of famous songs.
Yeah,
it's really clever. Like.
Another thing I want to bring up before we move on is just I want to give kudos to Young Horses for the representation and diversity of their cast.
Yeah, and I think...
Go ahead, sorry.
I think them fitting into archetypes really helped with that a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially considering they're Grumpuses, so it's like harder to really feel their character without those archetypes, I think. So I think that archetype system worked well for those characters.
Yeah.
And then to like demonstrate the diversity.
Yeah, like this game was surprisingly and hugely progressive, because on top of all these characters, we had like a couple straight couples, but we had a gay couple, we had a non-binary character. I'm sorry. 2 gay couples and a non-binary character. It just really surprised me at both how much there was and how well it was done, to the point where it didn't feel forced, at least not to me. Never felt forced, and frankly, one of the best moments of the game was that conversation between Chandlo and Snorpy, where it's like, dude, we've been dating for years. Like, yeah. Probably the sweetest, most wholesome moment in the game.
Absolutely.
Super well done, and just kudos to Young Horses for that. It really floored me.
Who is non-binary?
I have no idea who you're talking about.
Floofty. If you ever noticed, they always referred to Floofty with they them pronouns.
Oh, that's amazing. Cool.
Floofty was intended to be a non-binary character.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that speaks to how just natural it all came off.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
I think it's great, and good on Young Horses for incorporating that so fluidly into the game.
And also, just culturally, they all had different accents and things like that.
Yeah. They I feel like maybe the one the one thing that's kind of missing, but you can kind of excuse it, I guess, on the fact that this is like a different species of creature. Grumpuses, it's kind of like it's Muppets, like what really is it? But they don't really touch on anything in terms of racial diversity, but I think that's okay. I think with what they did set out to do, they did very well.
Yeah, not racial.
I think that would be trying to do a little too much in the time that they had.
Agreed.
Yeah, but you definitely did feel different races, although that wasn't like the driving point, because of the accents.
At the very least, different cultures.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Like, for sure.
It was heavily implied that it's pretty much human culture, just Muppets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Muppet
like you knew
creatures.
Krampus was from Brooklyn.
Right.
Yeah.
Or was that his name, the red one?
You mean Cromdo?
Cromdo.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Christ. These names.
I really want to like compile a list at the end of all the names that Delaila has said in like a different way. Like, I just let it go, but she called Gramble Scramble for most of the episode. But it's still like, oh, it's so funny. There's one more thing I want to touch on before we go to wrap up, and that's just like the audience this game is for. Because like we touched on the genre of this game and its aesthetics, and like I think on like the concept of like how Disney makes their movies, where in a Disney movie, like you try to have that humor that's for kids, but you also try to throw in humor for adults so that both audiences can get a lot out of the movie. And I feel like that's present here. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, this is definitely a game that you can play in front of your kids or even have your kids play. But I don't think that, for the most part, I don't think that they're going to understand the game as much as an adult would. I think like, yeah, play it in front of your kids. I'm not sure it's a kid's game. I think it's for everyone, actually. But I think as an adult, you get more out of it.
I think that's, you hit on one of the reasons why there was such hit and miss writing and humor, at least for me. Was specifically because that stuff was written for a younger audience. As opposed to some of the things like a cactus wife or, you know what I'm talking about. I think actually, though, the biggest thing holding this back would probably be, if we're being frank, like the lack of real action in it or any kind of high intensity gameplay. You know, not
you
that
get that
makes
ending showdown at the end.
That was honestly, that was probably one of my least favorite parts of the game, just because of how finicky the controls are.
Oh, okay.
But it was a nice like moment of intensity for the story. Like I did like that.
The stakes were really high.
Right. I didn't even know the characters could die, but
yeah.
Wait, did you see at one of those sequences that Wambus and Elizabeth were running away with the cactus? Like she had the cactus in her hand for him.
Oh no, I did not see that.
You mean Triffany?
Triffany, sorry.
Yeah. No, it's
God
fine.
Damn.
I did not realize that. I thought she was holding the bush with the special sauce that you get.
I think she had the cactus in her arm. Am I bugging out?
I feel like the cactus was somewhere in that final sequence.
I know that what's his name? Wambus constantly says, "I hope the cactus doesn't get jealous." Like,
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she was taking it with them at the end. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, all I was gonna say was I think just the genre of the game is gonna turn a lot of older audiences off, but they're not older, like middle-aged, like Call of Duty audiences.
Yeah.
But there's gonna be a lot of parents and kids that will be able to share the experience. So like, it won't be necessarily a mass appeal audience, but it definitely hits, that kind of family / maybe older gamers who remember the old Adventures of Monkey Island and Indiana Jones point and click games that I was mentioning earlier.
And do you think that the ending, like revelation, the ending reveal of them being parasites, the let's go the darkness of the ending that we get, do you think that that's a little too mature for younger audiences, or do we feel that it's still something?
I don't think they'll get it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think like maybe someone around like 10 maybe might get it a little bit if you explain it to them, but it was so subtle. And
I do think this game was rated E10, not E, so I
didn't even know there was an E10.
Oh, what? Yeah,
me either.
E10 has been around since like 2005. Where the fuck have you two been?
How many games are rated E10?
A ton.
I mean, I guess I'm just not playing them. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess not. I guess my childish ass over here is playing plenty of E10 games. Okay, yeah, I mean, I agree with all that. I think there's a lot there for both audiences to enjoy, and it's a shame that this. I almost feel like maybe the aesthetics should have been reined in a little more to be a little less cartoony, to kind of give them more of a middle ground, but I feel like then the game would have been significantly less charming and the mystery
less surprising.
Yeah, like the mystery of it all. Yeah.
I think you could have kept the same fundamental design but toned down the color palette.
Okay. That's fair. It's just, like, I just think, like, if we had gotten something a little less cartoony and a little less colorful in that reveal in June, how much more interested, or how much less interested would we have been? How much more interested would we have been versus what we got, or, and that goes for really everybody.
See, this is one of those games that it looks like the cartoons that you have on when you're babysitting a toddler, and that you're like, oh my God, I gotta watch this shit.
Yeah.
And I think like going into the game and playing it and seeing that aesthetic and then realizing the tone that the game's actually going in made it so much of a better experience than if it was like a little more detailed or like had that less like toddler cartoon vibe aesthetic. It definitely surprised me. I don't think it would have surprised me as much though if it didn't look like the way it does.
Yeah.
I probably would have just thought, okay, another game with a cool plot. Now it's like, no, there's this like game looks like it's geared towards babies that's actually sadistic as fuck.
Yeah. It really, I think I was the first to beat it, and I said to you guys, like, we should do an episode of, and even at that point, Delaila, you had only played a little bit, and you were straight up just like, this is a horror game, and I'm like, you don't even fucking know. Like,
yeah, no, I did not.
We should do an episode on this. So I'm glad that we did it.
Me too.
Do you guys want to talk about anything else before I bring up the final question?
I'm surprised that more people didn't do spoiler casts on this. This is such a good spoiler cast game.
Yeah. I mean, it gives a nice roadway for us, right?
Yeah.
It's a good, I find like at least I would think it would be somewhat of a good streaming game just to poke fun at. And there are good jokes in there. And then the bad jokes are so bad that you can laugh at them for being bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only reason I couldn't stream that game though is because of all the noises that were happening at the same time on top of like the lights and like managing. It was just like very overwhelming. But yeah, otherwise, if you're not someone that gets overstimulated by too much stimuli, then yeah, go for it. But it was too much for me. Like I was in the shower like bunga 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 bunga. Non-stop.
All right. Well, go on to the final question that I have. We did get some sales, like a little bit of sales data about this game, and apparently, even though that it was a launch title for PS Plus for PS5, and that lasted 2 months, it wasn't just one. Bugsnax has already outsold Octodad Dadley's Catch, which is crazy to me because I feel like Octodad was also like a big hit that a lot of people enjoyed and it's come to a ton of platforms. So for this game, despite being a free game for 2 months, already outselling it is crazy. So I think, especially with that in mind, plus the ending, the secret ending that we got, we're gonna get a sequel. What do you guys want to see from that?
I almost don't want a sequel. Like, I feel like they could do it, but I don't know. I feel like the mystery of knowing, like the mystery's already out there. We already know what's happening. So, like, how much more surprising could you get?
You just want Grump City to secretly and quietly fall apart to that one lone Strabby?
Yeah, totally. Which, like, maybe it's not just that lone Strabby, because didn't they have a Strabby in the ball that, you took with you?
Oh, yeah. I wonder, whatever happened with that buggy ball.
Like, did they just throw it in the water? Like, oh, no, fuck you. You're a parasite. Get out of here. We're not going to use you anymore.
Or what if that Strabby is, the Bugsnax was Sprout. It was named Sprout. What if that was Sprout coming off the boat?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah, maybe the ball broke and he got loose.
Mm-hmm.
But
that would make sense.
Yeah.
I have the same answer to this question as I did for Ghost of Tsushima, in that my general opinion right now is that I don't want sequels to anything, because I feel like franchises are killing creativity across all mediums.
Okay.
Period. Also, I think that they don't even necessarily need to make a sequel to build on this. I think they can take those investigative detective aspects and build a game completely around them without the catching aspects. Maybe introduce some kind of new mechanic to go along with that. Take that cartoony aesthetic, but tone down the color palette so you make it look more like 1960s, 1970s cartoon. So it's almost like make a detective story or something like that. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But try your hand at something new using what you've already established, rather than just saying, okay, people like this, let's make Bugsnax too.
Okay.
Same answer I had for Ghost of Tsushima, same answer here. It'll probably be my same answer going forward for everything.
I think, like, since they're back at Grump City, whatever, we're just gonna call it Grump City. That might actually be what it's called. If this does progress, we do get a sequel, and them being back in Grump City, we see that Strabby come off the boat. Like, I want to see, if they're gonna make the stakes that high, I want to see some serious, like, King Kong shit, like massive ass Bugsnax taking over the city. You gotta find crazy ass ways to catch them. But I do definitely want, like further detective esque mechanics built on what we got to further this game. Maybe have more branching paths. I did like how this game's story progression was kind of non-linear. You were kind of just like, you were given like a set of areas you could go to, and you could get villagers back in any order. It didn't really matter, and like you could get side quests and go do them. Maybe build on that a little more. That's what I'd like to see. And yeah, just more Bugsnax.
What if you were just hunting the snack squatch, whatever? It was just one Bugsnax, the snack squatch, in the city.
Ooh, yeah. What if
it was literally open. Like, you could literally catch them in the beginning if you knew how within the first half an hour. It was just an open game.
That could be really cool. Or just like maybe what you're investigating is like Bugsnax crime. People discovering they're spreading around the city, and you're just like trying to hunt them down and stop them before they spread further.
It'd kind of be like John Constantine urban fantasy, where like they're magic detectives investigating magic murders, except it's Bugsnax.
would definitely be cool.
Or what if it's like a Shadow of Colossus type game where you have all these giant colossal Bugsnax in like different places of the map and you have to go like kill them and that's all you do.
Delaila, I don't know why the fuck you would bring that game up right now. That's so odd. Like, why would you bring that game up?
I know why she brought it up, because speaking of a game that doesn't have at least a direct sequel.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
So Jason, I guess before we get to that topic, what is the Kwasnicki rating on this bad boy?
You know what? I was gonna give it a 6.9. I'll give it a 7 Bugsnax out of 10.
7 Bugsnax out of 10.
Wow, that's pretty high.
I enjoyed it more than Final Fantasy VII Remake.
What? Really?
Yes.
Holy shit. That's wild. That's yeah, did not expect that. Oh. Much like the ending of Bugsnax, I did not expect that ending to this podcast.
You know what? Hold on.
Oh no, you can't go back on it now.
I'm gonna lower it to 6.8. It's still better than Final Fantasy VII.
Oh,
I can't give it a 7. I can't give it a 7 so because there's other stuff I've given it a 7.
You just nibbled a bit off of a bunger's like leg to make it that basically. 0.8. Oh, that's fucked up, man.
I got like the curly screwdriver leg like Eggabell. That's what I did to it.
All right. So that concludes our show. If you liked this show. Oh wait, before I go on to that, Delaila, what are you doing? What you got any plugs?
Yeah. I've been streaming more on twitch.tv/assassina_san. I started playing a game called Nier Automata.
Woo! Here we go.
Yeah, I like it a lot. So we'll talk more on that another time.
Yes. But maybe in an upcoming episode of Reap the Spoils.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a full playthrough of it. It'll be on YouTube. I'm pretty excited.
Cool. That's awesome. I'm so excited for you and for us.
Mark's for those who can't see, Mark's gonna cry.
I am close. I am close to crying. Thinking about Nier Automata and love it.
I just fought the naked guy that looked like Sephiroth.
Oh, good.
Sephiroth. Yeah.
And all the robot banging. Yeah.
I love how you quantify a person that looks like Sephiroth. Somehow he's emo Sephiroth versus regular ass Sephiroth.
Yeah, he's more emo than.
To be fair, the original Sephiroth was not really emo.
He was pretty brooding. This is a conversation for another time.
Yeah.
If you liked this show, please, if you listen to it on YouTube, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment. Did we say what
we're gonna play?
Oh yeah, Jason, what are we playing next month?
Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah, that was the point of that joke I made like 5 minutes ago. We're doing Shadow of the Colossus next month. I haven't even played the remake yet. I'm going to play the remake for this show. I assume you can play the original, the HD release, or the remake, and it'll be fine. Maybe I'll try to give both a playthrough so I can maybe speak to that. But assume for now I'm just going to play the remake.
Even if you just have a PS4, if you really, really want to play the original, I'm pretty sure you can do it on
Oh, yeah, PS Now.
PS Now.
Yeah, I think it is there. And hey, like, also, I know for a fact on PS Now is Eco. Play Eco. I love that game. But yeah, for the show, definitely play Shadow of the Colossus for next episode. That is our next episode. As I was saying, leave us a comment if you're watching on YouTube, listening on YouTube. Leave us a comment, let us know what your favorite Bugsnax is. What earworm invaded your brain. And also, just like, what did you like? What didn't you like about the show? Let us know. We strive on that feedback. We love that feedback. Let us know whatever you want to let us know. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please rate and review the show. 5 stars preferred. Again, tell us what you liked. Tell us what you didn't like. Just tell us, talk to us, engage with us. You can also go on the Facebook group. I keep forgetting that we have a Facebook group. I don't go on Facebook. I know Delaila does a lot, but we have a Facebook group. It's Dead Cell Media. Go find it there. Like the page and follow the things, whatever you do there. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Nibelheimian. Delilah's at Assassina_San. Jason's at Solid Quaz, but don't follow him. He's doing nothing. He's fucking sitting at home playing Dragon Quest.
The only reason I haven't gotten rid of that Twitter account is because I like the Solid Quaz name.
Yeah.
I might have to get rid of it though.
No, keep it. If you don't keep that Twitter account, how else am I going to tell people to follow you but don't follow, or that they can follow you there but not to follow you?
Okay.
We got to keep it. We got to keep it.
I'll do it for you, Mark.
Thank you, Jason. And you can follow Dead Cell Media at Dead Cell Media on Twitter. And yeah, see you next month for Shadow of the Colossus. Thanks for listening.
Take care.
Bye-bye, everybody.
But yeah, the thing about the sorry, I lost track because my freaking microphone fell.
It's okay.
Sorry. I'm just like a mess all the time. Okay. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I totally lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. It
okay.
happens once a episode.
That's right.
It's all right. I'll cut this part out. Maybe I'll put it at the end of the show. It's a little Easter egg.
Just put at the end, I'm a mess all the time.
Shit, there was something I wanted to bring up now and I can't remember.
My microphone just like fucked me up.